Welcome friends to the newest edition of Seahawkers What If, the most unique Seahawks preview show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner. Coming out and find me at Clinton Bonner on Twitter. I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandan Schultz, and find him out on Twitter at SeahawkersPod. And we all know by now that this would not be Seahawkers What If. We cannot traverse the multiverse without the protector of the multiverse, and that is Mr. Phil Leidick, bringing the core group back together. Brandan back from vacation. We want to thank Adam for coming in for the first and last time. Joking, Adam. He was wonderful. Adam did a fantastic job. But the joke is the running gag. He's only been on What If now one time, but he's been on 3 times, of course. Okay. Brandan, my mind was going to Adam. We were talking about him pre-show as well. Brandan, Mr. Phil, as we get ready for this game, this is the only match I think they said in the NFL of the week with 2 winning teams facing off against one another. That? And as our coach, our perennially youthful coach said, who would have thunk it? So Brandan.
I know. I mean, I knew we would be good, but who thought the Giants would be good? Nobody.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think the big question is, are they? I think that's going to be a lot of what
might tie in with the theme a little bit. You might have pre-guessed it, Clinton. I don't know.
Well, you know what? Again, the old blind squirrel and monkeys in a room typing away, right? We do a lot of shows nowadays. Before we do kick it over to the protector, Mr. Phil, just want to say real quickly for the folks out there, reminding that, hey, this is a beautiful thing. I wake up in the morning, I'm on the East Coast, so I got a little time travel in my favor. I go out to YouTube, I refresh our metrics. I'm like, holy Hannah. 7 more people, 6 more, whatever it is, like every single day, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. That is growing like a good kind of weed. I guess that'd be a flower. And on the other side of it too, the audio, the downloads, the streams, they're all just jacked up and people are really, really gravitating towards the content. We love it. Just want to say thank you. Keep spreading the Hawkra. Keep, subscribing and hitting the bell and doing all those things. The last time we did the instant reaction show after that big W, Brandan and Adam were together. There was over 100 people live. It was fun. Like, that's the thing. This season is become and is fun. And we're just so happy to be part of that. So thanks for sharing all of it with us. So Mr. Phil.
Well, hey, wait a second before we go on.
Mr. Brandan, you take it.
Well, I just have to say, for all the horticulturists, check in. Flowers are not weeds.
That is so.
Forestry man himself has made that quite clear.
A natural fact. So not like a nice sunflower to the sun. How about that? The growth that the
sorry to stop the show for the horticulturist podcast, but
that's listen. Before the last people you want up in arms against you, it's the horticulturist.
Oh yeah. People like Brandan can take away your life.
Yeah, they will cancel you real fast in 2022. It's a true fact, right? So, all right. So, Mr. Phil, we're about to go play this game against the New York Giants are coming to town.
The football Giants.
The football Giants, as Bloomy said, a lot of travel for these G-men over the last few weeks, so that could be interesting. A lot of things in the forecast here, weather-wise and otherwise. What did you see? You do this part of it where you go back and rewatch the game or the Giants game for us previously from the protector. What did you see from these G-men that you want to, share with the audience and make sure that they're prepped in the same way that you are?
Yeah, it's tricky. Obviously, before we do What If, we want to see what was by previously with the protector here. The overall team, again, I said this about the Chargers, but more so maybe with the Giants, they're far from unbeatable. They're 13th by weighted DVOA, and yet they're 6-1. They're kind of coached to let you beat yourself. If you watch their games, they play in that way. Their offense, watch for lots of play action. They are 6th by DVOA weighted in offense, so good offense. Daniel Jones is very evasive. He seems to handle the blitz extremely well. I wrote that down from watching this game, but then they've given up 20 sacks, so I don't know. Barkley, you need more than one tackler to get him down. Whether he evades you or pushes you away, one tackler not going to get it done. Their O-line looked good in this game. Again, they've given up 20 sacks, but in this previous matchup, they looked pretty good. Their wide receivers are very unimpressive. They had a lot of drops in this game or ones they could have caught. They didn't look really good at separating either. So doubly not that impressive. Jones is brave. He's pretty decent at football. I'd say he's kind of like a Mariota with more guts. I don't know if that's a good way to put it, but watch for read options, some cuteness plays that just might work. They got lucky on a roughing the passer penalty, negated an interception that allowed him to score. Jones is a good leader and playmaker in the fourth from everything we've seen. He was helped by a dumb call on the Jags that got him to the goal line to take the lead at the end. They were missing their right tackle and tight end in this game, which they also might be again, but they still seem to block pretty well, but maybe that was just the ineptitude of the opponent. Their 4-minute offense nearly finished the game at the end, and yet somehow still the opponent marched the ball down. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Their special teams kick coverage wasn't real impressive, and I'm starting to see that every week. So maybe us Hawk fans need to get over complaining about special teams, because every time I watch a team, it's like, oh, their kick coverage isn't that great. But maybe that's just more rare, the New Orleans Saints type kick coverage than the opposite. Their defense, 6th in points per game, but check this out, 29th by weighted DVOA. Not scary, but maybe they're lucky or effective. I don't know. DVOA says they're bad. Their points per game looks good. We'll see. Some say they blitz most in the league or really close to. It appears frequent, but unlike the Chargers, it's unsurprising. It doesn't seem to do much. Their screens will hurt them pretty good. Draws were quite effective. They're quite deceivable. Pass pressure, very less than lethal, only 13 sacks. They seem pretty good to stay in their lanes in the run game, however. Very workable defense, beatable. They forced a huge fumble to prevent a touchdown. They gave up the edge on a huge run by Etienne, gave up the edge a couple times. They held on 4th and 1, and I say held with quotes if you're watching, but that was after a couple questionable spots that they even got to that situation. I'd say maybe their defense is clutch. They won by holding the Jags out on a catch at the 1-yard line. There were a ton of plays that could have lost them to lose, not only this game, but other games. So that's what was. Now let's get to what if here. This week, gentlemen, we have 2 teams with what seems to be very surprising records by a lot of folks. So as the very famous, you guys all know him, Antoine Dodson said, hide your kids, hide your wives, hide your husbands, because these teams could be beating everybody out here. But what if, as Antoine said, faux real, what if these teams are actually faux real or for real? The categories this week are very real. We have real bad, real good, actually the other order, real good, then real bad. I couldn't decide, good news, bad news, but we're going to go real good, then real bad, and then not real. Real good, real bad, not real. This is an even numbered episode, which means we send it to Clinton first under the category of real good. What if, Clinton, what if our DBs are actually becoming real good, like real good?
Yeah.
How should we expect them to handle this group of Giants less than mediocre wide receivers? If they're real good, should we see something special this week, Clinton?
So first of all, Brandon, on your way back from the vacation, take that. I go first. You know, maybe it's just the sequence, but hey, I get to go first. This is nice. And thank you for allowing all of us to not watch Giants football that much, right? Check in on them, but the previously from the Protector does a real nice job of rounding it out for us there. Yeah, you said it earlier, Mr. Phil, that this Giants wide receiver core is not very good. You know, Slayton, I think, Slayton's always confusing to me because I always thought he was pretty good and like could be used more. And the Giants kind of like seem to only pull the emergency Slayton, machinery when other dudes are down. It's like, okay, Galladay can't play anymore. Tony can't play anymore. Years past, Sterling Shepard can't play. But Slayton's been good. So he's the one dude that I circle as saying, interesting. They lost their tight end. So if we're talking about just the offensive weapons on that could catch the ball, he got his eye basically kind of poked out a little bit. So he's got a serious, like an ocular injury. So I wish him good recovery. I think if we're going to be real good, number one is like, I don't fear this, just like the Chargers last week. I was very explicit with, I do not fear the Chargers getting over the top on this defense because Mike Williams is not that kind of dude. He can get 50-50 balls, but he's not a burner. And Keenan Allen was on basically one leg. What, DeAndre Carter already? Like whatever. I view this as a lesser San Diego Charger-esque or LA Charger-esque.
And Clinton, one thing, Diggs, people are waiting for the big plays, but he hasn't been toasted this year, has he? I mean, people want to see. So we haven't given up the deep one.
I don't think people have gotten behind us like at all, right? And that's kind of tried and true with Coach Carroll, the way he wants to see things stay in front of us. But to get to the answer quickly is like, so I don't fear the Reaper here. I don't have the fear of this wide receiving core. So can we get the Kobe Bryant blitz? Can we get the cornerback blitz? Can we get a tip at the line from, a Ryan Neal blitz through the A gap where he gets home again? Now Daniel Jones can make you pay. He's wily. He can get out of those things. But like you said, also 20 sacks. And when you do get to Jones, he has had a propensity in his career of coughing up the football, like a la Dave Craig style. He fumbles a lot.
I like that.
So that's it. Like I think we could take more chances because of the lack of talent. And then when we take our chances, let's get home. Like that's the answer. A Neal sack, a Bryant sack, a strip sack, tip at the line that causes a pick six, or a Darrell Taylor thing where some reason he runs slowly after getting the football in his hands. I don't know, one of those things. But that's it, Mr. Phil.
All right, Brandon, we got at least 4 of the 5 DBs that are starting to look like they're getting pretty good of the starters. What should that look like if our DBs actually are real good against a not so great set of pass catchers?
Yeah, the thing is that when 4 out of the 5 are good, you do have to worry about the one who's the weakest link, right? And one of the names I know Clinton didn't bring up in mentioning some of their receivers was their slot receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson, who's rookie receiver. And I thought against the Jags, he had some good plays. And it's that particular matchup. So when you're talking about sending Kobe Bryant on blitzes, yeah, if you do that sparingly, that's fine. But that's the matchup that I'm kind of most worried about with this team, is that Wan'Dale Robinson, when he's matched up against Bryant, or if he's matched up against any of the linebackers. And Daniel Jones is really good at just those quick over the middle type throws. Now, it has resulted in some turnovers throwing it over the middle, so I think there is that potential too. It's just that's kind of the matchup with the DBs that I'm worried about most in particular.
Okay. And with the rain, maybe some more doinks like they had last week. That'd be nice. Okay, the other part of real good. This one will go to Brandon first. Brandon, what if you are required to declare the Giants are real good at one thing in particular? Because I was drilling, looking around for this. You're required to say, hey, the Giants are really good at this. What is that thing, and why would you say the Giants are good at this in particular, Brandon?
There's 2 different ways I could go with this. The number one for me, though, and especially if it's going to be a game in the rain, it's running the football. I mean, they got Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones is a guy who can he can make you pay if he's running the football and you're not accounting for him. So I when we talked about it earlier on 3 and 3 out this week, it feels like a Kamara Taysom Hill type tandem, except Daniel Jones is more talented at throwing the football than Taysom Hill. So it's going to be something that I'm going to be worried about. Now, the way they've been defending the run has been very different since that Saints game. And I'm really hoping that they're that any of those issues that we saw in the Saints game, they've been able to fix, and they can stop this 2-headed running tandem of Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. And Jones is fast. I mean, he's a fast guy.
Yeah, he is. Oh yeah.
So
he's Kaepernick-ish a little bit on that, isn't he?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Lamar. I mean, you probably
I don't know
not
about
as fast
Lamar.
as Lamar, but I mean, he's
more of a glider like Colin, isn't he, than a shifty dude like Lamar?
Yeah, more Gazelle-esque. Yeah, I get you.
But yeah, a running quarterback that you really do have to worry about.
Okay, and Clinton, besides winning, obviously they're good at that, but maybe that was your answer. What if you have to nail down something the Giants are real good at in particular? What is that, and why? What would you say, Clinton?
I think I got 2. And since Brandon went first, maybe I'll maybe I'll say both or save something for later. Real quick, by the way, guys, Wan'Dale Robinson is questionable, and there's like an undisclosed injury. It's nowhere. It's like nobody knows what's up. Popped up on the fantasy, apps and stuff like that. It just says undisclosed. It's like
and Galladay both. But
well,
and
I don't know if Galladay is that one's like feels like an LJ Collier to me at this point. Like
they'll have to disclose it by the Wednesday afternoon injury reports, though.
Yeah, they got to put something on there, right? Something to say what it is. So we'll find out. But right now he's questionable, so we shall see. I'm going to stick to the offensive side and say that the Giants are good at hammering the trifecta that they understand works well for them, and so it equates to getting to the run game as an answer. However, it's the run game to the left side, right? So Andrew Thomas, he's a very good left tackle. And now they're dinged, right? They just lost Evan Neal. He'll be out for a bit. They lost their tight end, who's very much like an Uncle Will with Bellinger. He's a good interior tight end who's good at catching, but also a really good blocker. So they understand what their strengths are. This is what they're good at. They know what their strengths are, and they go to it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And they don't try to be cute. It's like, we're going to run the ball to Barkley. We're going to do short throws, stretch the field a little bit where we can with Jones. And then Jones is going to have pre-planned plays that are his.
They do have cute plays, Clinton, but you're saying the cuteness they use is in accordance with what they're good at, right? When they have cute play calls.
I think so. It's not DJ Dallas throwing the ball, right? So in that kind of cute way. So I think I think Dable understands what they're good at and is willing to win and lose with that, and be like, hey, we do that 30 times and we lose, we'll tip our cap and get out of the stadium and get it back on the bus. He's okay with that. Which I think is good coaching, by the way. I think that makes sense. So I'll pause that there and reserve some of my other stuff that I think might come up a little later.
Okay, good. Well, we'll go to the next category, which is real bad. We left real good. And when it comes to Hawk fans, if anything we might think is bad right now, we'll just get this first question out of the way here. And this one will go to Clinton first. What if DK actually has to miss a few games? We're recording this, nobody knows, on Wednesday morning. Sometimes we do it in the afternoon where we've heard a little bit more. So we're kind of in the dark with the rest of y'all. By the time you hear this tomorrow or Friday, you might already know more than we do right now. But this is something to think about. If DK has to miss a few games, how do you expect Gino and Shane to keep our top 5 offense rolling? I think it's good to know, even for the future, if you're missing DK or Tyler, how do you keep it rolling? But in particular, DK, Clinton, you got some thoughts on how we can do that?
Yeah, really good question. My assumption is that he's going to miss a couple of weeks. That's just that's just my gut and slash like, this is kind of what it feels like. Hopefully it's not more. Hopefully it's not more than 4. And we got the bye that's going to fold in there after the Germany game too. So, I think there's the obvious person who stepped up last week and did a job, right? I'm going to avoid that and say that, in my opinion, we're likely going to become even more Coach Carroll-esque, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, crappier weather. It's a time of year. It gets cold out there, and it's a good time to really run the ball with more efficiency. Number two, we're really effective and efficient and becoming more efficient at running the ball. So replacing DK, it's like that big body dude. Sure, we got some options on the bench and on the squad, the roster. I'm less about how do we replace DK and how do we morph a little bit more into the K9 led offense.
But no DK does hurt K9. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Michael Irvin goes down, Emmitt Smith gets hurt, right? He
absolutely can, but I still think we have field stretchers that can do the things. But I agree with you that can hurt there. I'm seeing the kinds of progress from offensive blocking that to me are really impressive. So I think if we kind of just volume up on that and we see, 25 plus touches a game for K9, I won't be shocked. I won't be shocked at all. And we're only talking about things in the fringes here, like as opposed to 8 attempts to DK in a game. There's others who are still going to get theirs. And then maybe Walker's getting 2 to 3 more touches. So we're talking about like a 10 to 15% variance on what he would normally get anyway. Yeah. So I don't think it's like a huge overhaul. I think it's like mild tweaks towards more K9 because the weather will dictate that. And I think that's a smart thing to do while you're missing your alpha.
Brandon, you have anything to add to that? How we can keep our top top 5 offense rolling if DK has to miss any time.
Yeah, and with this Giants game in particular, I don't think I would be too concerned because I think the way they would want to play, especially if it's rough weather, is more with 2 tight end packages, 3 tight end packages.
Yeah.
And so then you're getting and gosh, we've seen the depth and the ability. I mean, of the guys I feel like we want to see more of. It's been Noah Fant and it's been Colby Parkinson, who's been kind of a nice surprise this year. Will Dissly just continues to be that steady guy who is, apart from one catch, doesn't make the catch that's thrown to him. So really happy with what we've seen from Dissly this year. So I would think that would give them the flexibility then to continue to try and push the ball down the field in the run game, because you can handle some of those blitz pickups if leak dudes out into the flat, which the Giants like to blitz a lot. And I don't think that they're, as far as their talent to be able to match up with our particular tight ends, I think that could be a mismatch in our favor.
Okay, very good. All right, the other side of real bad, Brandon. I don't know if you guys will agree with this premise, but maybe you can at least drill into it a little bit. What if the Hawks can improve one area that they've been fairly bad at so far? Like there's something that's been niggling you a little bit and they've been fairly bad. Where do you hope to see our Hawks improve against this Giants team? There's a spot you just like to see that itch or that bit of pain go away. Do you have a spot, Brandon, you'd like to see some steps moving forward for us?
Yeah, easiest answer of the show so far. Special teams. I'd like to see special teams improve, whether it's in the return game, whether it's not making silly mistakes. Jason Myers actually has been pretty good so far, so knock on all the wood on that Washington plaque that's sitting behind you, Phil. But it's the other aspects to special teams that's concerning. And the other thing about this, we talked earlier about some of the things that the Giants are good at. They're very opportunistic. And so what I mean by that is they're really good at taking advantage of mistakes that the other team makes.
Yes,
so
that's right.
We've seen that in a lot of their wins this year. And so if we're giving up silly mistakes in special teams, whether it's giving up big plays to them or the fumble here and there or field position in some sort of way, they find ways to make teams pay.
Yep. Yeah. How about you, Clinton? Something we've been bad at that you're ready to see us fix, start getting better, start seeing some improvement, Clinton?
Yeah, this is my group, just because now we're picking nits, and this is what I like there. So the piece for me that comes up is, while the run defense has been really good, and I was on that. I thought it could get there, and then it got there. And let's hopefully see it for a third week against.
That's going to be the next question, is along those lines about the run defense.
Okay, yeah. So I'll park that there for a second and say the piece that's still leaky is in last week as evidence. Eckler catching 1,000 passes for 1,000,000 plus 200 yards.
Yeah,
it's still leaky. It's to the flats, to the screen game, right? So the thing is, it's difficult to stop everything. It's basically nearly impossible. This is not Legion of Boom. This is not the not Ravens, 85 Bears. Pretty good defense and an accelerating defense. It's fast. But you have to pick your poison a little bit, right? So I think it's part of the game plan is we will allow the dink and dunks, and we will sell out / make sure we're stopping the run more effectively. So that's the area, man. It's just can we keep Saquon to under 65, 70 yards receiving? I'm not sure we can, because I think we might allow it to do the other stuff well. But that's the part for me that if we could also do that, I think the Giants will have a pretty bad day.
Yeah, it's a little bit of the dam has the leaks, and you only have so many fingers to put in there. Yeah,
it's a cartoon, right? That's it. So yeah,
it's like Eckler. Hey, we held him to 30 yards rushing, and he had a zillion fantasy points. How does this happen? But we're kind of used to that, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about things that are not real, possibly not real, things not real? The first part of this, Clinton was already kind of getting close to that on his last answer. What if the Hawks' run defense hasn't actually fully turned a corner? And I'm put it this way. They've just appeared good through some game script, like we run out to a lead, opponent strategy a little bit, the way they can face us. We're facing a real run team here, as Brandan already alluded to earlier. What if we're not actually as good as it appears to be over the last couple games? The defense has been saying, hey, if we stop the run, then we can have fun. Obviously, you get after it, the pass rush, and you stop the run. Can they use this game to prove they are faux real, Clinton? And how can we prove in this Giants game, a real running team, that we are faux real? What do you got?
I might be stealing Brandon's answer from the other day when we chatted. So Brandon, if I am, then I apologize. But it was so darn good that I remembered it. Right. The thing that Brandon brought up the other day when we chatted, it was on 3 and 3 out. We started to at the very end talk about the G-Men game here. Brandon made the conversation or brought the idea that, hey, we can't let Daniel Jones go Taysom Hill on us. Like, that's the area. I expect us to make it hard on Saquon Barkley. And he's very good, by the way. He might be the second best running back in the league. And I mean that with sincerity. And I also mean who's in front of him, in terms of shiftiness and elusiveness and side to side ability, et cetera, et cetera. He's probably second best, not first. With that, I still think we're going to make it hard on Saquon, especially with a very dinged offensive line. Take all that out of the equation. You have a gazelle quarterback back there that can see things and go. We've got to stop Daniel Jones, man. It's like, if he's in that 80 yards rushing territory with a running touchdown or setting up multiple scores, then this is a coin toss if that's allowed. If we shut that valve off, I think Seattle wins this game going away. The thing is, I think it's going to be incredibly difficult to shut that valve off because it's tough. It's tough to plan for that when you have Saquon back there and Daniel Jones. Okay, who's running the rock? That is not an easy task.
Brandon, can we use this game to prove our run defense is becoming faux real, and how?
I would believe it after this game if they're able to hold this Giants team. And, maybe we get through it and we blame it on the weather being rough on both teams, depending on ultimately how that part of the game plays out. But we've seen Daniel Jones this year. Gosh, just his rushing attempts throughout the season. He's got 3 in double digits where he's running the football, double digit carries in a game. And then he's got another 3 games where he's up around the 8, 9, 11 yards per attempt area. So, I'm hoping our defense can be more of the Carolina type game where he ran it 10 times, but only had 21 total yards. Like, if they could do that, then I'll buy it. Especially, I'm having a haunting of the Taysom Hill game. I don't want to see that again. And the concerning thing is like I mentioned earlier, Daniel Jones can do those little drop passes over the middle, and he hasn't given up a lot of interceptions. What is it, just 2 on the year? And he did have a 3rd in that Jacksonville game, but that one got called back. So yeah, it's definitely something that he's a real big part of the reason why they're having their success this year. And Saquon Barkley, it goes without saying.
And can I ask a follow-up question or two to both of y'all? Does that lend itself to Ryan Neal in that kind of spyware, or somebody in that spyware type thing, and less Barton on the field? Where we that
hasn't been a. I want to mention something on that, Clint. That hasn't been a factor because Ryan Neal's the starting safety for one. Right. For 2, we ran nickel 96% of the time, and Barton was still on the field 61. So the way we're playing nickel isn't necessarily pulling Barton. Just because Kobe comes on the field doesn't mean Barton. Like, Neal's 100% safety now. He's right, Jamal's replacement.
The Neal-esque, like the guy behind the guy, right? So, but the game before,
Josh Jones,
the game before that against the Cardinals, though, Barton was like 34%, right? So
yeah,
it was
that's
another
right.
Third of the time off. And do we view the coaching staff? Do they view Jones closer to Murray in that kind of ability, and will it throttle that way where it's like, let's get the speedier guys out there? I just wonder. I think potentially yes, but I do want to get your guys' take on that.
I think the best package that we have right now, unfortunately, is with Barton on the field when it comes to run defense. I would rather have him out there over
Then
Josh Jones. And having Kobe Bryant out on the field for that turnover capability that he's shown early on this season. Yeah, I think that's our best group. And I'm happy though that Ryan Neal is the guy who's the 100% starting safety, because he could, I mean, you're right to bring him up as a factor because he'd be the guy, the extra guy in the box who is, really trying to help stop this run. And yeah, he could be a big factor in this game.
I'm just hoping Carroll has learned after Taysom Hill, because I mean, every year he does some learning. This is like the third year in a row where the defense starts out bad and then they start turning some corners. Hopefully there's some specific things like the Taysom Hill. He's like, hey, this didn't work. Clint, get to work on this, and we're going to fix that. I'd like to see some of that in this game. Yeah. Can we go to the last question here? It's kind of a two-parter. I know we got to move. So what if something about these teams isn't actually real? And I know we've had some huge surprises. So just quickly, what surprised you most about each of these teams? And this will go to Brandan first. So both just kind of quickly, Giants and Seahawks. What has surprised you most, you're saying, after week 7 about each of these teams, Brandan?
Oh, gosh. I suppose the record for the Giants, for one. When you looked at this game, you thought, okay, home game, October, Giants haven't historically been good, but the way Saquon's been playing, I mean, the guy has been a star this year. So,
and he's usually hurt by now.
He's usually hurt by now. So the surprisingness of his health, and I mean, good for him, because he was kind of on that Rashad Penny type track, right? Where you go, gosh, this guy has all the talent in the world, but he can't put it together for a season to where he's healthy. And so now he's finally doing it. And here it is in a contract year for him too. So it's working out real well for him.
I had this circled as one of our 7 wins that I expected. I was like, Carroll's going to get at least 7. We've got a bad team, but Carroll he'll get at least 7. And the Giants, that's one of them. But now I look at this game so different than I did heading into the season.
It's going to be a tight game. I know it was fun blowing out the Chargers. I don't think that we can expect that this week, because this is the type of game that I think both coaches are going to want to play. They're going to want to keep it close. And so maybe that's the other thing, is I didn't expect the first year coach for the Giants to be able to turn the team around this quickly either. If I'm going to pick one factor, it would be, I thought there would be some growing pains. And they've really just come out straight out of the gates.
And for us, what surprised you most about our team, if you had to pick one thing?
I mean, that we're not undefeated. I thought we would be undefeated at this point.
That's probably
the
the one that most of us would say, right? Yeah.
Fair.
How about you, Clinton? What surprised you most about each of these teams before we get into the real question?
Yeah, sure. I think the surprise part for me with the G-men is their clutchiness. They've been clutch, and they've been fourth quarter clutch. They've been big moment clutch. Now, coaching, culture, belief, that all weighs in. And there might be other stuff, mixed in there. I know there's a part 2 coming up, so I'll reserve that part. But compared to, I don't know, Shanahan's 49ers, if you guys seen that stat where I think they're 1-30 when trailing after the fourth quarter. Oof. 1-30 is, I think, the official record. Dable's got, what do we got? 4? They have 4 wins this year. At least 3, right? Where they're trailing going into the fourth quarter. Yeah. They win the game. So they have this belief / almost, early to mid stage Russell Wilson clutchiness thing going on, that they could look bad and look terrible and then get the play, get the moment, and then find a way to get these W's. So that is a big surprise from a team that went from laughing stock to now they're ahead of us in the quote unquote power rankings. Maybe, but I think we're a better team, but their clutchiness is what it is. They're 6-1.
And what surprised you most about our team?
Oh, this one I quickly is that the cute plays are still in the playbook. Like that. I can't believe that. I can't believe that after all these, that's 3, right? That's 3 major. The DJ Dallas interception, the Australian rules punt, that didn't work out, and then the pitch to D Eskridge.
Okay.
These cute plays are still allowed. At some point, Carroll's just going to tell, like, no, you've lost the right to do those. And I think we might be at that point. So that's my surprise that still exists.
You guys shocked me. I thought for sure either our O-line or Gino would be like the easiest answers in the world, or maybe Tariq Woolen. I thought the most shocking thing about our team this year is one of those three, and you didn't pick any of those. That's okay.
Well, those are definitely true.
To be fair, I went with a completely ridiculous answer as to what surprised me. So I guess I could have taken it more seriously.
Yeah, you don't have to. They've just been answering this everywhere, and I thought maybe our listeners would want to know what you guys have been most shocked about our team. But you guys want to make a joke out of my question? That's fine. We'll go to the other one.
I think we've all been shocked about whether it's Gino playing as well as he had. I mean, he's shocking the entire league, as well as he's as efficient as he's been, as he's come up with big plays at the right moments. I mean, I think Woolen, I don't think anybody would have suspected him to be one of the leading cornerbacks after being drafted in the 5th round. A couple of years, give him a couple of years to kind of work into it, because this was not, I mean, Pete Carroll was even shocked by it. I think one of his answers was, did you expect him to be this, or were you surprised that he fell as far as he did in the draft? And he's like, no, I mean, you went back and watched his tape at UTSA, and then, there were a lot of bad plays there. So he fell to the 5th round for a reason. And and here he is, just, and you can just see the confidence each and every week building and growing with him, which is really cool.
Sure.
Yeah, I think we're almost spoiled at this point that we have 6 rookies starting. And
that's an awesome one.
And a quick little do better to Peter Schrager on the NFL Network, Schrags, as he's called out there, Schrags. He did like this whole awesome bit on these 5 Seahawks rookies, and he left Boye Mafe off the chart, and he mentioned him in passing, like, oh, this guy's coming along too. It's like, well, I understand you got to cover the whole NFL, but don't disrespect Boye Mafe like that, Schrags, because he is the 6th and maybe even the 5th or 4th if we're really ranking him, who's been just 6 rookies, man. So thanks for the second attempt at that, Mr. Phil, because there was a softball that we definitely didn't see, right?
Well, that's better, because I heard somebody forget to include Woolen in talking about the Seahawks draft, and I was like, this person has no business even talking about our team now.
Was that Matt Millen? Was that Matt Millen by chance? Did you mention DK?
Let's go to the other side of this, because I got to go quick here. What might still prove fake about either of these teams? And you can pick one or say both, but something you're worried might actually be fake about either of these teams. Brandon, what do you think?
With either of these teams, what might be fake?
Because we're saying, what if they're for real? Is there something you're concerned is fake about either of these teams? I'd probably go back to the Seahawks run defense. That's they showed us something. That's my number one.
I don't count. I feel like I have to throw out the Arizona game because it's Eno Benjamin, and they did okay.
He looked good the next week.
He was good. Yes,
good the next week.
He's been better than Connor, that's for sure.
But they gave up some big plays to Kyler, so it's those types of things that I'm. Yeah, can you shut one down, but then if you allow the other guy to run, I mean that's the situation that we're going to run in with these guys, and I know that Saquon's better than Eno Benjamin, so that's the one that I wonder if it's a little bit fake. And I guess I would have a hard time if I'm to put a measurement on it in this game. Like if it's 75 yards rushing or less for Barkley and I don't know, 50 or less for Jones, do I consider that a success? And they're still over 120 as a tandem, but I guess that's about the marker that I would put on it to say, yeah, if they do that and contain them in that way, then maybe the run defense is for real.
How about you, Clinton? Got something fake about either or both teams that you're concerned they might be fake?
I'll go quick because we are right up against the time clock here on this one. So, but the first one for me with Seattle is are our young DBs actually this good? I think they are. They've given me and us no reason to think they're not. With that, we haven't faced the powerhouse quarterbacks with really good wide receivers either. We keep getting lucky, people are out, and we're missing it. Now, I think they're a heck of a lot better than what we saw against, like, say, Detroit that particular week. And I think they're great. But what if when we face the Mahomeses,
The Raiders, the Chiefs.
yeah, exactly. We see Devontae Adams and Carr, and then we start to see these warts come out. That was just a talent thing. It's possible. The thing for the Giants, real quick, that I think can be fake, or at least is not sustainable. I mentioned the clutchiness earlier. It's really been like a lot of turnover clutchiness too. Like Lamar Jackson scrambling around like a fool and throwing the ball up with a couple of minutes to go. ETN dropping the ball at the goal line. That stuff is like Denver Broncos week 1 sustainability for our defense. That's not the way we're going to win games throughout the year, because fluky turnovers are by their nature not actually sustainable. So I think that might be fake. And maybe it's time that this pumpkin, or rather the coach, turns back into a pumpkin for the Giants when they come up to the West this time.
All right. Well, we're going to get to our final section here where we're prediction time. Last week, Clinton beat Brandan's substitute, his longtime boyhood podcasting friend, by the point differential. So now they are tied. He put in a trusted sub and he failed both times. And Brandan lost his 3-1 lead over the course of being gone for 2 weeks. That's what he gets for going and having fun with family. And so now it is 3-3. It is 3-3. But Clint was way off on his wish. He picked Eskridge. So I'm worried about whoever Clinton picks for his wish today, because it hasn't been helped. But Adam nailed his wish. He picked Walker. And of course, that went crazy, like all of Adam's individual players went for the week. And so now it's 3-3 prediction time. We start with Clinton this week. Your what if super hawk. Every multiverse needs a superhero. So your wish and your score for this game against the G-Men, Clinton.
Yes. Okay. So the quick wish is going to be, I am totally into, I'm going to go to Brooks. I want to see Brooks. I want to see Jordan Brooks. I think he's been steadily building towards like these gains where like he's really starting to shine again, like he did last year. So how does that manifest itself? He gets home for a sack. That's big splashy play.
That'd be new. Yeah.
So it's not just the typical stuff like 12 tackles and a really good game. He's involved in some big splash play. So that maybe that's an interception, maybe that's a sack, but something that really turns the tide. And he kind of gets the spotlight on him, and not just being, oh, dude, he had another good game, because he's been playing real well last few weeks. That's my wish. Score wise, I'm going to go quickly. I think Seattle, the pumpkin, or the coach, does turn back into a pumpkin for the Giants. It's either going to be one of two things: a nail biter that we are disgusted with in some ways, or we kind of win going away. I think we're going to just keep throttling the Giants, and they're not going to be able to keep up. That's my guess. 27-19, Seahawks get to 5-3, and we're a happy camper as we get to the end of October.
Yeah, I'm going to be fired up if the Seahawks are able to score in the 20s. I think if we score in the high 20s, then they do win this game. With the weather as a potential factor, I think that it's going to be closer. And I know I'm going in the wrong order here, but I think it's going to be closer to a 19-17 win for the Seahawks. And maybe we get to see that home crowd electrified by a late Geno Smith drive where he gets him in field goal range. Jason Myers kicks the field goal in the rain
against all teams, the Giants that are good at the end.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a nail biter.
That'll have me scared.
I know. But my what if Super Hawk, going a little bit deep on this one, I think Boye Mafe has his revenge game against Peter Schrager, disrespecting him for leaving him off this list. Yes, he only has, they've had a good rotation with the outside linebackers, Bruce Irvin back on the team, Mafe right around 40% of the snaps here in the last game. And I think he gets 1 sack, 2 tackles for a loss against this Giants team. And that sets him out in the box score.
Nice.
Very nice. I'm looking forward to it, except for the nail biter. I'm kind of hoping for a blowout because I'd feel a lot better. We are awesome in the first quarter, first half, and the Giants are not. So I'm hoping that we start out with one of those, just pound it to them right off the bat. But we'll see. I know you guys got to get to work and everything. And so, gentlemen, what if we say go Hawks?
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.